Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert with deep experience in modern hospitality, and I am so pleased to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. We look forward to supporting your professional growth in this amazing industry. Now, today we're diving into a core skill, negotiation. But what if we've been looking at it all wrong? What if the real goal isn't just to win a single deal, but to kickstart a lasting relationship? That's what we're exploring, how to turn a simple transaction into a powerful, long-term partnership. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's kick things off with what is probably the single most important idea we're going to talk about. Look, numbers, contracts, yeah, they're crucial. Of course they are. But the real secret sauce, the key to success, is your ability to genuinely understand the person sitting across from you. That, right there, is the difference between a one-time deal and a profitable relationship that can last for years. So where do things often go wrong? Well, far too many negotiations get stuck in what I call the transactional trap. You've probably seen it. It's when the entire conversation just circles obsessively around one thing: price, price, price. Honestly, it's a dead end. Today, we're going to unpack a much more effective, much more collaborative model, one that actually creates incredible value for everyone involved. All right, let's break this down. Over on the left, you've got the old way of doing things, that transactional approach. It's defensive, it's rigid, and it's all about one thing: getting the lowest price for the highest rate. It's a zero-sum game, right? Someone wins, someone loses. And that approach almost always leaves value on the table. But look over on the right. The partnership approach, this is about finding solutions together. It's flexible, it's collaborative, and the focus is on creating long-term value. This is where the best in our industry operate.
So the big question is, how do we actually make that shift? How do we get from one column to the other? Well, it happens at a very specific moment. When you stop focusing on what a client is asking for and you start decoding why they're asking for it. That's the strategic pivot point. And yeah, it requires a bit of empathy, maybe some research, and just a genuine curiosity to try and see the world from their point of view. Okay, let's make this real. We're going to put this into practice with a role you'll deal with all the time: the corporate travel manager. If you want to negotiate successfully with them, you absolutely have to understand the pressures they're under in their unique world. Think about it. A corporate travel manager is under immense pressure. They're trying to juggle these super tight budgets, but at the same time, they're responsible for making sure their travelers are safe and happy. Imagine, just one complaint from a high-level executive can trigger this intense internal scrutiny. So when they seem a little cautious or they're demanding really detailed reports, they're not trying to be difficult. They need bulletproof consistency because their own job is on the line. If you can frame your offer around that idea, you're not just selling a room rate anymore. You're selling peace of mind. All right, now let's switch gears completely. We're going to look at a totally different client profile: the event planner. Their world, and by extension their priorities in a negotiation, are driven by a completely different set of pressures. You see, for an event planner, it all comes down to one thing: flawless execution. Their professional reputation is on the line with every single event they run. Think about it. One little mistake by the hotel, maybe a slow check-in process or a technical glitch with the AV system, it reflects directly and really badly on them. So yeah, the budget matters. But what they truly value above all else, it's confidence. They need to know deep down that you're a reliable, flexible, and responsive partner. That is their core motivation. Okay, so once you start understanding these different motivations, it leads you right to their pain points. And what are those? They're the specific frustrations a client is dealing with, often because of bad experiences they've had with other hotels or venues in the past. Your job is to become a kind of diagnostician. You need to find that pain so you can position your hotel as the cure. And the method for this is actually a pretty simple 3-step process. Step 1, you just listen for clues. You're listening for those little hints of past frustrations. Step 2, you ask open-ended questions to dig a little deeper. A fantastic one is just, tell me, what challenges have you had with venues in the past? And then finally, step 3, once you really understand the problem, you can position your hotel services not as some generic list of features, but as the direct solution to their specific pain point. And this brings us to, well, what is arguably the single most powerful tool in your entire negotiation toolkit. I'm talking about active listening. It really is the foundation that everything else we've discussed today is built on. I mean, it sounds so simple, doesn't it? Speak less, listen more. But you know as well as I do, so many people get into a negotiation and they feel this need to dominate the conversation, to just be pitching, pitching, pitching. The most effective negotiators? They do the exact opposite.
They understand that a negotiation is first and foremost an act of intelligence gathering. The more you listen, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the stronger your position becomes.
But let's be super clear here. Active listening isn't just about being quiet and waiting for your turn to talk. No, it's a disciplined process. It means you are concentrating fully on what's being said and, just as importantly, what's not being said. It's about understanding the real meaning behind the words, responding thoughtfully, and then, crucially, remembering that information so you can build a better, more targeted proposal later on.
So here's a quick guide for you, a little cheat sheet. Definitely do ask those open-ended questions we talked about. Do use strategic silence. You'd be amazed what happens when you just pause for a second after a client speaks. It often encourages them to share more. And absolutely do paraphrase what they said to confirm you understand. On the flip side, don't just sit there waiting for your turn to talk. Don't immediately jump in with a counteroffer without understanding the why behind their request. And whatever you do, please don't make assumptions. You know, when you start to really master these skills, understanding their motivations, uncovering those pain points, and practicing active listening, you fundamentally change the entire nature of the negotiation. You're no longer just trying to close a deal, you're moving beyond a simple transaction, and you're actually starting to build a true partnership.
And here's the bottom line, really. The revenue you get from one single, hard-fought contract, it's good. We'll take it. But the value that's generated from a long-term partnership, one that's built on trust and delivers repeat business, referrals, and predictable revenue year after year, that is exponentially greater. That is the ultimate goal.
So if you remember one thing, remember this. It all starts with understanding. When a client feels genuinely heard and truly understood, it builds this incredibly powerful foundation of trust. And it's that trust that transforms a one-time client into a lasting partner, someone who not only returns year after year, but even more importantly, becomes your advocate out there in the market. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about. Now that you're armed with these insights, what are the small changes you can make in your own approach? How are you going to move beyond just talking about price and start listening for that deeper story? How will you transform your next negotiation into your next great partnership?